Hello, I'm Aidan.
And I'm Elodie.
And welcome to the Hobby Hearth Podcast, where we discuss all things nerdcore and hobby related, from video games and tabletop games, film and TV and cinema, and anything that's on the silver screen, and everything in between.
This is the 4th episode of our podcast. The last episode, we dipped our toes into the juggernaut that is the Pokemon franchise. So if you haven't already, go ahead and give it a watch or a listen, along with any of our other previous episodes.
And thank you to everyone who has watched or listened to the channel so far and the podcast so far. We really appreciate your support. It means the absolute world to us, and we hope that you're actually enjoying this little nerdy podcast of ours. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future episodes of the Hobby Hearth Podcast, as well as any other videos that are appearing on the YouTube channel. Also, just as a reminder, you can find us on Apple Music and Spotify. And feel free to join our Discord, which is linked in the description down below.
Or can be found on our Instagram, along with all our other news.
Yes.
Speaking of news, so in terms of the Hobby Hearth updates, some big info as of tomorrow when this is going out, or when this episode goes live, Aidan and I will be at the UK Games Expo. So you can find us there, wandering around, trying out some new games and meeting up with some really cool people.
Mm-hmm.
If you see us, give us a wave. We have badges and stickers that we really are excited to give away.
Yeah, so it's going to be a blast. We're really excited. We're going to be capturing tons of footage so that we can chat about it in the future. And yeah, we're just really looking forward to seeing everywhere and experiencing it for the first time.
Yeah. On that note, next month, so in June, instead of a podcast episode, we will be releasing our first vlog and chatting about our experience at the UK Games Expo. And showcasing some of the stuff that we're going to get up to.
Yeah, so we'll be missing a month of the actual podcast, but on YouTube, you'll be able to see this vlog of us, just like all our footage and kind of us meeting people and just having a blast. And we'll be kind of chatting about some stuff that we got up to. So that's going to be great fun to kind of showcase. And hopefully it won't be the first or last time. It will be the first time, but won't be the last time.
No. So you can expect the next episode of the podcast to come out in July.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just a reminder for those of you who are kind of tuning in maybe for the first time or are, wondering what the updates are.
Or where the content is.
I am still in the process of moving house.
Yeah, we really launched this whole project at the correct time, didn't we?
We really did. I mean, in fairness, we didn't know, or I didn't know, when we decided to launch the first episode in February, that we would be moving house.
That's true.
It was a decision that kind of came up very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So we are in the process of moving houses. My house is currently a maze of boxes.
Mm-hmm.
If you follow me on Instagram at Be The Brave, you can generally see a few updates about what I am doing and how I'm trying to navigate hobby life around packing and moving. But we're hoping that come July, we're going to be able, once I'm in the new place, we're going to be able to put out a lot more content, and we're really looking forward to some of the stuff that we've getting ready to show you.
Yeah, we've got a lot of irons in the hearth, so yeah, we've got plans. So, without further ado, let's move on to our topics for this episode. Well, so this episode we're going to go over the creation and collection aspect of our content pillars. So this is our third pillar.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to be starting off with collecting.
Mm-hmm.
That means like the various things that hobbyists collect, and some of the things that we've collected, and how collection is a hobby in of itself.
Yeah.
Next is we're going to be discussing is creation, and how creation is a core part of any hobby, be it writing books, world building, to baking, crocheting, and knitting, where the only limit is in creation is our imagination. Speaking of creation, what is going on your shoulder?
Well, as you said, imagination is the limit, and your daughter decided that she would colour in my tattoo today. So I love it.
Yeah.
It's great, yeah.
Awesome. And the last of our topics for this episode is how collection and creation are how these two things are the core essentials of any hobby.
Yeah.
Along with our kind of closing thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So let's get into the episode.
So, kicking off our first topic, we're going to be discussing collecting. And, well, let's start off with by what do we mean by collecting as a hobby?
Yeah.
So, how would you define kind of collecting as a hobby in of itself?
It's interesting because I was talking to our parents about this the other day, and I would say that collecting is like one of the earliest hobbies that you can pick up as a child,
Yeah.
and one of the longest hobbies you can have running well into your older years. And it is just like such a universal hobby. So I define collecting in that very sense of having a thing or a I'm not sure of the word I'm looking for, but I suppose thing is
Something you find value in.
value.
Not necessarily monetary value, but
Yeah.
certainly something that you find valuable, that you want to
Yes.
kind of gather and collect, I
Yes.
guess.
Gather, display,
Mhm.
you know, have various forms of like, you know, uh ways of using it, playing with it, building it, creating it.
Yeah.
So I really do think collecting as a hobby is very all encompassing because it does suggest like this wide net of things that could potentially fall into that hobby.
Yeah.
You know, it goes from cards, it goes to, you know, gems, it goes to toys, it's video games, it's movies, it's you know, my very first collection, which was pebbles. So, you know, I think you can collect so many things.
Yeah.
And as you said, they can go from having like huge monetary value, or they can just have like special value to you because you like shiny things, or they have sentimental value. It's
basically we're just magpies.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're tapping into our inner magpie of just
Yes.
wanting to collect things, and
Yes.
it makes us happy. It tickles that part of our brain
Tickles
that's
that part
like,
of our
oh,
brain.
yay, I like that. Yoink.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. But you know, I was talking to mum and dad, and they, you know, it was that. Yeah, we collected Matchbox cars, and we collected Sendy dolls.
It's just what mum and dad
Yeah.
collected, right?
Granddad, so this is really back in the day, our granddad collected football cards, or he bought football cards for dad, but he bought them from cigarette packets. So you buy cigarettes, and there was a football card in the packet, and you give it to dad, and then smoke the cigarette. I'm not advocating anything there. You know, there's a reason they don't do that anymore. But you know, it's so interesting, and you know, then they were saying like Nana Hughes collected stamps. Nan collected thimbles. Like there's all this kind of wealth of things that people collect and have sentimental value for.
It's multi-generational as
really
well.
is. And collections get handed down as well, which I think is great and really, really fun.
Yeah, like there's like some, like you see some like families and they've got whole kind of portfolios that they've inherited from their kind of predecessors. Like it really is like one of those things that kind of can travel with families.
Yeah, and
And then
travel through time.
Absolutely, and then like end up with whole museums that are just like collector's items from like people who built up the collections.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth going into something like mixing these two bits up here, like what like some of the things that we've collected, and then also what other people in the hobby, like things that other people in the hobby have collected. We've already named a couple, like cards and stamps and thimbles, mental instability. But yeah, so I mean, for me personally, like one of my biggest collections are Warhammer. I love collecting the miniatures, and I know. So the thing with collections is that they can, under our kind of 4 pillars, while Warhammer does fall under the tabletop games, it can also fall under the collection, like the collection pillar. So, so for me, it falls under both, and I love just collecting little pieces of plastic that I can show off and display and paint. I'm not much of a gamer myself, but like I love painting miniatures, and so being able to collect them and paint them up and such is real joy for me. I particularly love getting like old hammer, which is basically the older kind of
vintage.
Yeah, exactly. Like models that came out in like the 90s and such, like and earlier, when Games Workshop runs a kind of made to order thing where they re-release older miniatures for a limited time, I'm like, ooh, I want that. I like those.
I'm in that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I suppose in a way that was one of your first major collections, in as much as you started collecting the Warhammer magazines for the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, back in
the day.
early 2000s. Yeah.
And that was, I mean, you collected all those magazines, and then you collected all the miniatures that came with those magazines, and that.
My collection's grown since then. I've probably got well over 1,000 miniatures now, which is nuts.
And how many of those are painted?
We don't talk about that. The pile of shame, or potential as some people call it, is ever growing. So that's one of my biggest ones. I've recently gotten into collecting Pokemon cards, and I know that there's a big kind of scene around kind of the value, like monetary value of Pokemon cards, but I'm actually more interested in just opening packs and seeing what cool cards I can find. So that's
I'm loving the art of the cards. Like that's something. I was going through your daughter's collection. So every time I can get some, he gives the duplicates to, and then I go through her cards and get her duplicates from my own collection. Although my collection's a little bit different, and we'll get to that in a minute, as to what I do with my collection. But you're very much, you've got a folder and all of that. But I was going through your daughter's collection, and I'm just so like impressed by the art of it, and it's just like I'm just like looking at them.
Yeah, and I mean, back in the day, I used to collect I don't know if many people might know these, but Doctor Who Battles in Time cards.
Oh yeah.
And I had loads of those, like full collections. It probably would have been worth a fortune now, but like, I just loved, and I was Doctor Who obsessed, and I just loved like getting the expansion packs and getting as many cards as I could and trading them with my friends. So collecting Pokemon cards is kind of taking me back to then. Unfortunately, I don't have the Battles in Time cards anymore, but but like those are just some of the things that I collect. I probably will kind of think of other things that I collect as well as we go on. But let's hear about some of the ones you collect.
So I've collected The Sims. So I have all the original Sims 2 games as they were in CD format. And I'm currently in the process of creating like a little display for it.
Nice.
But yeah, I collected all of those games, and some of those are really hard to find.
Yeah.
Have
you actually got them all now?
I've got every single game.
Nice.
Of The Sims 2.
So is that like the main game and then all of the expansions?
All the expansions.
How many is in that?
So it is 18 games altogether, I believe.
Dang.
I believe. I'll just double check that. I'm sure, because I counted it the other day. That is one thing that is really interesting about moving, is that I have been kind of exposed to a lot of my old collections and gone, oh, I forgot about this. Or, oh, how interesting. What am I going to do with this? I should also add, this is The Sims 2 on PC.
Yeah.
So this is not Sims 2 on the GameCube or anything like that. It is strictly PC games. Although I also have a Sims 2 Game Boy game as well with that.
Do you think you'd ever kind of expand that collection to cover like the GameCube as well, or whatever the console was? Just so that you have them all.
Maybe. So yeah, it's 18 games, which is one base game. 8 expansion packs and 9 stuff packs, which is hugely different to what The Sims 4 is now. Like that. Yeah. That is very, very different. But I had all of them. And some of those games, so like Sims 2 Nightlife and I think Sims 2 University, they had 2 discs.
Right, because they were quite big.
They were big games. So overall, I have about 20 discs. But I don't have Sims 2 Castaway or anything like that. It is just the original Sims 2 PC games.
Right.
And as I say, the Sims 2
Game Boy
game, which is honestly the root of all Sims. You know, you have
the root of all Sims.
No, because for millennials, right, The Sims is so fun because it just talks. It's chaos, okay? It's just a chaotic game. And like when The Sims 4 initially came out, it was like, oh, where's the chaos gone?
Yeah.
And it took a while for them to build up to that because, as everyone knows, The Sims 4 was released incomplete as a base game, and over time has developed. But The Sims 2, to kind of give you an idea, you start off the game, your character is landed in Strangerville, which is like this big, very well-known town in The Sims. And they're basically instructed to like do a like little, they're doing a bit of reality TV, and the rest of the residents don't know, but you're there trying to like coax it out of them. But within like the first 5 minutes, you've got an alien who's been like, yeah, I'm just gonna live in this house with you, by the way. I'm just gonna be here. And like 5 minutes into game, there's mole people and all sorts of craziness. And there's like radiation. It's so much fun. It is so much fun. Well, we will have a whole episode about The Sims.
Yeah, because I feel like you could talk.
I could talk about that. Honestly, it's such a fun game.
Okay.
But other things that I have found, or other collections I have. One of my major collections as a child was actually from the My Little Pony franchise. I had some of the original My Little Ponies. And before we started this move, I was convinced I only had one, Applejack. And I was convinced I must have lost all my others. And then during this move, my dad got a box down from the attic, and I've opened it up, and it's all My Little Ponies.
Fantastic.
So it's in like, and I'm keeping them.
Yeah, yeah.
The plan is to keep all of them. Applejack's going to go on a special shelf, but the rest of them, they are going to go to the new house, and your daughter's going to be able to play with them.
Yes.
Because that's going to be lovely. That was what I bought her for her last birthday, was a vintage My Little Pony. So the fact that she's going to be able to play with some of my vintage My Little Ponies is going to be lovely.
Yeah.
Other things I found were my giraffe collection. I had well over 100 giraffes growing up, collected over the years. One of my favourite giraffes of all time I got from a fair. I got him when I was about 4 or 5, and the giraffe is a teddy type giraffe, and it's called Eyebrow. I don't care to elaborate. It was just a great name for a giraffe, Eyebrow.
And how old were you at the time?
4 or 5. Like, just call them, I wanted to call it Ankle.
Really?
Yeah, I have this memory so vividly. I was thinking of ankle because for some reason that word was just beautiful in my mind. Okay. And instead I came out with Eyebrow, and the rest of the family were like, all right, it's Eyebrow. I was like, oh, I can't change it now. I'm going to look like a loser. So I have this memory so vividly. So I've still got Eyebrow. Eyebrow comes everywhere with me still. Nice. But yeah, I had this ginormous giraffe collection of just giraffes I collected from the zoo. Not actual giraffes, but like giraffe. Imagine that.
Just if you do like a Louvre heist,
yeah,
but with the giraffes from the zoo.
But I just loved giraffes as a kid. So for me, it was like I collected all things giraffes. I had giraffe ornaments. I had giraffe teddies. I had giraffe pictures. All these things of giraffes. And yeah, I had well over 100 giraffe items. So I had a giraffe collection. And on the note of stuffed toys, one of my other things that I tend to collect is lost toys. So I will, if I find a lost toy, I usually take it home, clean it up. I will put it on the local Facebook page saying, hey, I found a toy. But often enough, no one claims it.
Yeah.
And it's just because, I've done this right from when I was a tot. I couldn't bear the idea of toys just laying there in the rain. Or
Toy Story has scarred us for life.
Toy Story and The Brave Little Toaster.
Oh, God, yeah.
Dad, during the move, Dad, the old Hoover, Hoover knackered out, so we got a new one, and Dad kept making jokes about the Hoover going off to the old Hoover going off to the garage to die, and I was like, no, no, it's the Brave Little Toaster all over again. This is a mental illness, I'm sure, but I have a collection of teddies. Who over the years I've rehomed to children who, might want extra teddies, and so there's some that I can't because they've been so stitched together over the years. I have one in particular is called Sem, which is short for cemetery, which is where I found it. And it's a unicorn, but it had a lot of stitching, and like there's like things pointy bits from where it just it required a lot of work.
A lot of surgery, basically. A lot of surgery.
It's very Frankenstein. It really is, because it was partly burnt as well, which was interesting. So it was like I don't even think I put that one on Facebook because I was like, whoever had you didn't love you enough. Mental illness.
Yep.
So that's kind of some of the primary stuff I have collected, do still collect.
Yeah.
Some of my more serious collections now involve clicky-clacky math rocks.
Yes, dice.
Yes, D&D dice.
A passion you share with my wife.
Yes. She's worse for it, I think.
Yeah.
For someone who wasn't wasn't really into D&D and only really got into it because she was just like, oh, it'll be nice to spend time with as a family and that sort of thing. And then she's gone, oh, I get to play make believe and flirt with my husband, and there's these clicky clacky math dice.
Yeah, and she evolved very quickly from a one bag dice person to a dice goblin to now a dice dragon.
Yeah.
And yeah, she loves her dice.
Yeah.
And you love your dice as well.
I love my dice, but I fear as a forever DM, my problem is that DMs don't really roll all that many dice, except for when we're doing damage. But we don't really roll that many dice, so we don't really get to have, get to do the, rolling all the time. We don't do skill checks or anything like that.
I wish I didn't have to do skill checks and roll my dice sometimes. Yeah. I never roll below or roll above a 10.
You really don't. But I do have sets of dice that represent different NPCs in my game, or different, characters. I've got my Una dice, which have turtles in them, and Una is one of my player characters, actually, that I hope to play soon. Who was basically a tiefling raised by turtles.
Yep. Think Kung Fu Panda 2.
Inspirational.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is it. Like, some people who collect dice, they can either collect them, like, and just to have lots of dice, but then other people, like, they collect dice, but they have different personalities to them, or kind of themes that they kind of attribute them to, and things like that.
And this is it. I think more of I'm collecting the dice because they're pretty, and I'm collecting dice because I love all these different colors and different textures and all of this. Whereas I'm like, that dice will suit that NPC, and that dice set will suit this NPC.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's kind of a different approach to the collection. But those are some of the primary things that I collect.
Yeah. I think kind of looking at the wider hobby here and like what are, like things that people collect, which I'll kind of list off a bunch of stuff here and then we'll kind of discuss a few of them. Like, so things that people collect as a hobby, books. I know a lot of book collectors. Trading cards like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, One Piece, etc., etc. Lego is a huge thing that people collect. Stamps, as you've already mentioned. Stickers and badges. Don't forget to grab yours at the expo tomorrow from us. Records. Basically, if it's something you can get, you collect. Like swords. I know people who collect swords. And yeah, it's like even in like games like D&D, player characters will collect and adopt like goblins or like
3 kobolds in a trench coat.
Yeah, absolutely. Even in video games like Pokemon, which we discussed last month, like people would collect, like you collect Pokemon. Like that's the whole kind of one of the main purposes.
So many games are focused on this idea of collecting. You've got games like Flamecraft where you have to collect resources. You've got video games like Pokemon where you have to collect creatures, all with this intention of fulfilling a end goal, and filled up Pokedex or something like that. And I think it kind of really gets to the crux of kind of some collecting, because I think there's two mindsets of collecting. You either collect kind of aimlessly, simply because you love something. So, like, for example, me with giraffes, okay? There was no end goal in mind. It was just a giraffe. Plenty of giraffes. But for some games like football cards, like our nephew collects football cards, that's an end set goal.
To kind of collect them all.
To collect them all, and there must be a real sense of what's the word, like
pride and accomplishment.
From collecting that sort of thing.
Like for the longest time before it kind of went crazy, I got like for your birthdays, I got and like Christmas,
Yeah,
I got you like
the
the
Marvel.
Marvel films
Yeah,
that were out up to date by that
yeah,
point.
yeah. That's it. That's the other really nice thing about collections is that they really do. You know, there's something that people share
Mm-hmm.
and can uh, give to each other
Yeah.
and share with each other.
Mm-hmm.
As you say, like we both loved Marvel. We still love Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
but particularly in those years of, you know, basically
Up to Endgame,
up to
basically.
Endgame, that first Infinity Saga, that was huge.
Mm-hmm.
And the world had never seen anything like it in terms of a multi-film, multi-year series.
Mm-hmm.
It was like whoosh. And so we loved that and we
Yeah.
watched every single film in cinema.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you would get me the series on the DVDs.
Yeah.
And then I think really you've only stopped as it's kind of expanded to, multi TV shows, and it was just like content after content after content, and also when everything moved to streaming.
Yeah, exactly. I think streaming's kind of killed DVDs, which
Yeah.
is kind of unfortunately meant that some collections kind of have
Fizzled
like
out.
fizzled out. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I think like as you said, like collecting can be one of those things that you do like from childhood, basically.
Mhm.
Like one of my earliest collections was like dinosaurs,
Yeah.
dinosaur toys, anything dinosaur related. I absolutely adored.
Mhm.
And yeah, and while I may have grown out of dinosaur, well, I haven't grown out of dinosaurs, but I don't have dinosaur toys. Like, just gotta put that like ADHD caveat in there that like I still love dinosaurs, but I just don't have any dinosaur toys. But like, it's still a really fond memory of kind of being
Yeah.
able to be able to collect
Yeah.
dinosaur toys and such. And things like books, like I have all of the Lord of the Rings books. I
Yeah.
have all of the Witcher books, and it's so cool to just see them arrayed on
Yeah.
my bookshelf and
Yeah.
like together.
Yeah.
Just memorabilia. There's something, I mean, I can understand why some people get an absolute thrill of being able to collect something that is very rare or limited edition,
Yeah.
and be able to own that,
Yeah.
just to be part of their
Mhm.
wider collection. It's yeah. So yeah, I think collecting is a very important part of the hobby, and it's definitely a core part of this
Yeah.
hobby. You can't really do a hobby without collecting something.
Yeah. Because I think collecting also stems into other hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
You're an avid painter. You're going to collect paintbrushes and paints.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're a video gamer. You're going to collect video games.
Yep.
You're a reader. You collect books. It really does kind of flow into the rest of hobby life.
Yeah.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
And as I say, I think it is a very timeless and very universal hobby
Mm-hmm.
because it is just a hobby that people do from like as young as, toddlers to being able to like walk down a beach and see a pretty shell and be like, I want that.
Yeah.
To, being in your twilight years and still collecting fancy pennies.
Mm-hmm.
My mum collected all the Peter Rabbit 50p's.
Yeah.
It's just a really nice kind of like you collect how collections can just have this kind of timeless feel to them.
Yeah.
Of feeling like, they're not just necessarily rooted in like commercialism and that
Mm-hmm.
desire to gain everything, but sometimes it has a real value as well,
Yeah.
like emotional value.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I meant, like kind of at the top of this section was like how collecting like is valuable, not just in the money sense, but like And it's definitely not all about money, because it can be like just picking up seashells from the seashore. I'm not going to get into that tongue twister. But it is a personal value, and I think like while you can collect for monetary value, there is something also deeply satisfying about collecting for personal value. So yeah. All right, we could probably chat about this for days, but we'll kind of be covering a lot of collecting as we kind of carry on with this podcast. Not just this podcast, but just in general. Do you have anything else you want to say about it right now, or shall we move on to our second topic?
Let's move on.
All right. So, moving on to our second topic, creation. I think, like we did with collection, let's talk about what we mean by creating as a hobby, because this is an absolutely huge and essential part of a hobby, or any hobby, just like collecting is. So, what is creating in the hobby to you?
So, creating in hobbies, very much, I feel like it can go from anywhere between physical painting, art, drawing, anything like that, to where your imagination takes place. So, writing, storytelling, and then also kind of really goes into some other areas, like practical areas, like cooking and baking. I feel creating kind of really acts kind of like as the thread of most hobbies. Particularly nerdy hobbies. Because if you're into anything kind of nerdy, it generally involves a form of imagination. That's not to say imagination doesn't linger in other spheres, but when you're nerdy, there is an element of your imagination. You were that child who had an overactive imagination. I certainly was, and I think that's a wonderful thing, to be honest. I'm very proud of having a really broad imagination, and I'm really proud it's kind of come through into my adult life as well. But creating is really that kind of true line within the hobbies of, it's about kind of constructing your hobby in whatever way that kind of involves. Whether that's storytelling, painting, writing music, really it's just anything your mind can think of.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100% there. You're kind of, the only restriction is kind of what you can't think of, basically. The sky is really the limit, and I think creation is such, not just a core aspect of any hobby, but just a core aspect of this world, basically. I'm not, I know we said we're not going to talk about politics, but just political parties, a thought on the creation of ideas. Architecture is made because someone thought, hey, I want a building designed like this. The world's craziest soup would be like, I wonder what happens if I throw all of these ingredients together. Like, I think if you want to see creation, one of the best scenes to watch is when Remy is making the soup in Ratatouille. And how his mind works in that, because I think that is kind of the best visualization of what creation looks like in anything, basically.
And what creativity can mean.
And I think it's not just humans that are creative. Like you see it in the animal kingdom, where like animals are creative as well. Like, just look at spider's web. Or how gorillas like make their nests and things like that. I'm kind of rambling on a bit here, but it's just like saying that creation and creativity is such a core aspect of what makes this world
what it is.
what it is.
Yeah.
But kind of speaking about kind of like bringing it back to hobbies, I think it doesn't matter really what kind of hobby you do. You're
Mhm.
kind of creating within that as well. Even if you're
Mm.
just collecting, you are creating a collection.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
which might just be the obvious, like an obvious kind of like in other news, water is wet
Yeah.
kind of answer. But yeah. So, what are kind of like some of the things that you particularly enjoy creating or kind of being creative?
Yeah.
Like, how do you enjoy being creative?
Okay, so one of the fundamental ways I enjoy being creative is as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of within storytelling and world building. Um, I am writing my first novel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drafting that for the first time. And I've written numerous short stories before that have kind of never gone anywhere, but this is my first piece of big writing that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember writing stories from a really young age. I
Yeah.
created complete with like little drawings and everything, like a little storybook. Mrs. Ladybird
Yes.
with her children.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've always been a storyteller. I've always been a writer in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
But also extending into TTRPGs.
Mm-hmm.
I have a homebrewed world
Yeah.
that I completely created, complete with continents and towns and cities and civilizations and
Yeah.
long lost history and gods and
Mm-hmm.
demons. I created this whole thing, and it's one of my deepest joys
Yeah.
to be able to go into that world
Mm-hmm.
and create that world and continue to expand it.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's kind of where I've been like, oh, you can really fall in love with your creation as well,
Mm-hmm.
because it is just something I get such a great sense of joy and love from. Like I just feel so like fulfilled in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sky's the limit. It
Yeah.
really is. Like as you might set your own rules as to what that world building kind of involves.
Mm-hmm.
However, you still decide what those rules are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think world building is one of my favorite parts of writing.
Yeah.
There's been a number of stories where I've written a whole world building platform, really, a whole world, and then I've gone, okay, and moving on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is what is different about my first novel is I'm actually writing it.
Yeah.
Which is big for me. But yeah, writing I think is one of my most fundamental
Yeah. I mean, you
creative outlets.
you are a hell of a wordsmith.
Thanks.
And your design of your D&D world and how you write and tell stories is impeccable.
Oh, thanks.
I mean that totally unbiasedly, by the way. Like I
Oh.
genuinely, as someone who's read some of the best literature works on
Oh,
this planet, your storytelling is exceptional.
oh,
And like
thanks.
I definitely put you in like top 3.
Oh, that's high praise.
So just kind of, I want to talk more about D&D with you, but let's kind of push that
Yeah,
onto kind of
that
like,
is going to be a very soon episode, I think, where we're
yeah.
going to properly sit down and you can feel free to ask me questions and
Yes.
we'll really talk about it. But
Mhm.
for the time being, let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
That has been one of my biggest creative outlets.
Any teasers on what this potential novel is going to be about?
So the novel,
Just a little smidge, a little crumb. How's that novel going, Brian?
Okay,
You've been
okay.
working on it 10 years.
Okay, it is the whole ethos of the story is based on a single trope, which is the character that haunts the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
This is a trope that usually follows that there is a character who has long died who continues to affect the narrative long after it's been gone, or long after they've gone from this world.
Yeah.
So we take that trope, a character who is gone but continues to
Have an
affect and have an impact, and we make it very literal. And it is literally a ghost who is haunting the narrative.
Oh, okay. That sounds very exciting. Well, you heard it here first. So, just trying to think of how to direct this next bit. I'm drawing a blank here.
Okay. How about I tell you about my other hobbies?
Yeah, sure.
Or my other creative hobbies?
Yes, yeah, that's
At
where I was
least.
going. Yeah.
Aside from writing, I am also quite an arty person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sadly not a drawer, someone who can draw very well. But that's not the only form of art that's out there. So, I love graphic design, so I love creating things digitally. Um, and I also really enjoy junk journaling. And just any kind of scrapbooking and journaling kind of process. And I have little art projects. I mentioned earlier at the top of the podcast about how I'm collecting Pokemon cards too. I am butchering those Pokemon cards. I'm cutting them up and making little, and then there will be people who are sweating. Okay, which is why I only take duplicates. Okay, if I find a very cool card, I'm not gonna like cut it up necessarily. Like, but you know, I like.
Don't tell the Magic the Gathering community about the Black Lotus you find and you cut up.
But I create little collages and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I try and find different things to like create. I learnt knitting years ago from my nan and kind of dropped the hobby, and then I've started picking it up again. And the other two hobbies I'm kind of picking up, though crochet is very difficult for me, but it is crochet and cross stitch. They're two hobbies that I'm kind of picking up a little bit more.
Yeah.
In terms of arty creative stuff.
I tell you what, like I've seen like someone like on my doom scrolling on Instagram, like some of the crochet community, like the work that they make, like whole outfits and such, like and like Ren Fair outfits and things like that is exceptional.
It's fantastic.
Beautiful. Like it really is stunning work.
Yeah.
And it looks so cool and so pretty and good.
One of my favorite things that I've seen that's been crocheted online recently is this woman who's crocheted a giant upper from like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Nice.
And her goal is actually to create a giant one. At the moment, she's got a big one, but she wants to create one that's the size of a king-size bed.
Nice.
And I love that.
Nice. There's this YouTuber called Queso, which some of our audience might know, and there was he's on the larger side, self-admitted as well, by him. People like to make jokes, and he kind of encourages that. But some crocheter has actually knitted a life-size version of him, or crocheted a life-size version of him and sent it to him. It was really cool when he kind of unboxed it.
Wow, that's incredible.
But yeah, cool.
So I think those are some of my more creative hobbies. As I say, like I think in terms of creating and creativity, that is one of the hobbies. Like if it involves something to do with your hands, I'm desperate to try it out. I might not be any good at it. As I say, I'm not really good at drawing, but I'll give it a go. I'm passable, with my drawing. And as I say, if I've got something in my head that I really want to put on paper, I'm going to do it. Doesn't mean it has to be any good. I just want to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think creative hobbies I really enjoy because I feel like I can really, yeah, as I say, it really doesn't matter to me if it's any good.
Mhm.
I've got a mug that your wife for Christmas took me on a pottery painting
Mhm.
day out,
Mhm.
and I've got a mug that I did a cat, and it looks awful. It's the cat is honestly like really bad. It doesn't look like a cat, but I love it. I love it, and
Yeah.
I loved the process of doing it as well. It's
Yeah.
so much fun to just do stuff like that.
And to try something new.
Try something new, absolutely.
I think that's one of the things that we're kind of going to be doing as this project evolves. Is like trying new things and
Yes.
seeing how we get on with it.
Yes.
I think it's safe to say that a lot of our creativities kind of come from our mum.
Yes.
Um,
Easily.
yeah, and I think kind of backtracking to the collection side of it, or collection side. I know mum collects quite a bit, but I think our kind of I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like there's an element of dad in there as well, like of
Yeah.
wanting of collecting
Dad
things.
Dad is very funny because you look at him and you go, "Oh, he's not a collector. He doesn't have any. He doesn't have like huge collections on shelves or anything like that. But he is a collector.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all very subtle,
Yeah.
and his version of collecting is very I don't know, alive, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and it evolves with him.
Yes.
You know, he said when he was a small child, he collected um, cars,
Mm-hmm.
Matchbox cars.
Mm-hmm.
He collected football stickers. He collected uh, football cards.
Mm-hmm.
As he got older, he started collecting. Uh, he had like a couple of train sets, like proper like vintage train sets and that sort of thing. And then I think as he's kind of gotten older, he's kind of switched gears. And he's now a bird ringer, and so he does lots of conservation stuff. And he doesn't obviously literally collect birds, but there's an element of him that where
He does in his little book.
in his book, yeah,
Yeah.
he collects books. I mean, he collects birds and writes them down in his book every time he
Yeah.
finds a new bird or encounters one.
Yeah.
He takes photographs and kind of has that element to it.
Yeah, and kind of got that portfolio. He's very
Yeah.
analytical like that as
Yes,
well. And I think
and this is it. His collection is very analytical.
Mhm.
He has them all on spreadsheets and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which I've got a real appreciation for him. Most recent thing he started collecting is football t-shirts.
Nice.
He's had like 4 come in the last month.
Love it.
I had to tell him to chill out because Father's Day was soon.
Just kind of rounding back to creativity.
Yeah.
So, like, that's very much a kind of aspect of our mum that's kind of
come
through in us, is that because she's incredibly creative.
Yes.
And that's kind of in turn we've gotten very creative
Mhm.
ourselves. So like in my
Yeah.
case, I do a lot of painting,
Yeah.
like miniature painting. That's my
You
biggest
do
jam.
a lot of.
When I can.
No,
when I can.
no, I mean not
Just
like
because like most of my collection, my miniatures are grey and plastic.
No, I mean like that's pretty much one of the only things you do aside from take care of your daughter and work is like when you're not doing any if any moment of free time you get, you're at that painting station painting. That's what I meant.
That's not strictly true, to be honest. No, that's not strictly true. That's one of the biggest things I do. And painting miniatures, I love it. It's therapeutic. It's one of my just being able to either follow a tutorial or make up my own recipes and kind of think what colors will match this color, what's going to be the best scheme. Right now I'm doing like this Iron Man style Space Marine, and I'm having to kind of think up a recipe off the top of my head as to how to get the armor metallic but red, and then the kind of gold that's going to go with that, and I'm going to be painting like the Infinity Stones on it.
Oh wow.
On one of the gauntlets. So I'm thinking like, how am I going to do that? So just anything that's
You're
kind of
so talented with your painting as well. Like, you're so talented.
I'd like to think I'm above average. I'm no master, and to be honest, no one's ever a master. Everyone's always learning, and that's one of the
Yeah.
great things about this hobby, about
Yeah.
painting as a hobby, is that you're always learning. Like, I'm learning new techniques right
Yeah.
now. As of recording this, I'm learning or trying out a new technique called cell shading, which, for those who don't know, is basically comic book style, where you don't blend your kind of shades and highlights. There, you can see the very kind of like you can see, like, for example, say an orange. You can see a dark orange, then there's a line where there's a middle orange, and then there's a line where there's a lighter orange. That
Wow.
kind of thing, or where you kind of like, and then you kind of black line it. So it's basically cartoon, or kind of, yeah,
Comic book style
comic book style,
in
yeah.
3D painting. That's so
Exactly,
incredible.
exactly. So that's a new technique that I'm learning, and it's just
Yeah.
being able to learn different techniques within painting is really fun and challenging as well.
Yeah. But you can be still learning and still incredibly talented. And that's what I'm getting
Yeah,
at. And
okay.
you're incredibly talented because you pick up new techniques really quickly. You're eager to try new techniques. You do such a wealth of variety in your painting. And it's a hobby that you kind of re-picked up after years of letting it lie. So
Yeah,
I think just being able to jump back into it and come on very quickly from
there's
being a relative amateur to kind of come on to where you are, that is talent.
there's a whole. So just to kind of give you a bit of context, like, I started miniature paint collecting and painting back in the early 2000s, and I did that for solidly for about 10 till I was about 10, 12, maybe 15, I think. Then I took a very long break, and I didn't get back into it until 2022. It's like it was the year before my daughter was born, and coming back into that side of, or back into the hobby, and of miniature painting and collecting and painting, there's a whole host of resources that are available now that weren't when I was younger. Like, there wasn't technical paints to create like gore effects, or swamp effects, or ice. There's a whole host of tutorials and videos on YouTube that is just absolutely mind-boggling with how much is available to kind of help you push that talent. And and over the past, like, what, it's like 4 years now, and coming on nearly 5, that I've kind of been going at this hardcore now, I can see why painting competitions, the bar it's just being raised so high, because of the amount of talent that is available out, because of the resources that are available out there. So yeah,
But as I say, you shouldn't put yourself down either, because
I'm
you
not.
are so talented. And
Yeah,
everyone I speak to who goes, "Oh my goodness, your brother does such amazing painting." I'm like, "I know.
I'm
It
okay.
is incredible."
Enough. Okay, enough with the glazing here. I'm not saying I'm not talented, and I'm not putting myself down. I'm saying that I am definitely adept, above average, and into adept.
Yeah.
But it's something I enjoy, and it's therapeutic. But just kind of moving on to one of the other things. So, one of my other big things that I like to do in terms of creation is that I am actually a world builder myself.
Yes, you are.
And I'm a world builder to a fault, where I actually don't write the story that I want to write. I have a whole idea of a story that I've got planned for, not just a novel, but a series, basically. And that kind of stemmed from one little city, which I call, it's basically, the city's called Cesspool, City of Thieves, and it's basically a thief, like, it's a guild run city that has multiple guilds who run the city. There's no government or anything like that. There's one guy called the accountant, which is like this mysterious guy who kind of keeps the wealth of the city like in check and kind of makes sure that the numbers are crunched. But the gangs or the guilds kind of run the city. And from that, the whole world kind of built around it
Yeah.
into, and that city alone is actually, it's a very minor part in the wider
Yeah.
context of the world and story that I'm creating and such. I've developed backstories and histories
Yeah.
and all of that. And I just need to put pen to paper, so to
Yeah.
speak, and actually write the damn book.
How's that novel work going?
Yeah. And my biggest problem is that like I've also now started developing
Another one.
another world.
That I think that has been my issue for years, is just not doing it, and it is just my most recent project that I'm like,
yeah,
I really actually want to see this world come to life because it's
yeah.
so engaged me.
And I think I have to kind of like, the reason particularly the second kind of world that I'm developing is it's kind of like a more steampunky like fantasy, but like also with firearms and such kind of fantasy. But this one's got a lot more political intrigue in it. And it's a very kind of, I don't want to say very political book, because it's actually about a kind of monster hunter or a bounty hunter. But he has to navigate the politics of the world. It's kind of inspired by The Witcher, but not The Witcher. I'll kind of caveat there, but that's kind of like the reason is that it's kind of very political, is that I am very interested in politics. I studied politics, and so being able to kind of put that experience onto and interest onto paper or into the world I'm building is a real joy and fun as well. And I think I can't really not talk about creation. I can't really talk about creation and creativity and not talk about my experience and career as a chef and a cook, and my love of making good food. Like my favorite subject at college was patisserie, and being able to kind of make beautiful looking like bavoirs or cakes or creme brulees. One of my favorite sessions was like the sugar art session,
so
which was
cool.
like making a fish out of sugar.
Yeah, that was so cool.
And again, like just being able to make nice food and thinking about what ingredients, and going back to kind of Remy from Ratatouille, kind of like that's how it feels like. It's just being like, whoa, this ingredient, that ingredient, a little bit of this seasoning, that tastes good. Yeah. So yeah, I could talk a lot about like kind of my creativity and such. And I think another time we'll kind of go on to maybe discussing our worlds and the worlds that we've built and such, and painting and all of the other things. But I think, is there anything else you kind of want to cover in with kind of creativity? Because this is not one of those things where we can kind of talk about what other hobbyists do, because I think we've already kind of covered what other hobbyists do. Like, I'd love to learn to play music. And write, well, not write music, but kind of learn to play the piano and kind of like people who make music are just insanely genius.
No, not really. I think, as I say, there's going to be time and place, and we're probably going to expand on creativity and creating and the different hobbies at other times. We're definitely going to showcase other hobbyists and their creations.
Yes.
That is like one of our primary goals, is to start doing that.
Yep.
But no, I think in terms of just the creativity, it is that thread that binds so many hobbies.
Yeah.
And I don't know, creativity for us, again, just feels like such a fundamental part of our identities.
Hmm.
So it is just that kind of idea that creativity and creation as a hobby,
Yeah.
um, I think it's so accessible. It's something that everyone can engage with.
Yeah.
And again, it's timeless. It's
Yeah.
a timeless hobby. It's a universal hobby. It is a hobby that has been around for generations and will be around for generations, whether AI likes it or not.
Yes.
You know, it is just a fantastic outlet.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's creative. You know, Dad's a big one for saying this, where he goes, "I'm not creative," and then you look at his colourful spreadsheets, and you're like, "What do you mean you're not creative?"
Yeah.
Creativity comes in such a wealth of different. It can look like such different things.
Yeah. I say to people who this my argument to people who say they're either not political or they're not creative. And my one argument is, do you have an idea?
Yeah,
And if they say, or do you believe in something?
yeah,
If they say yes and describe to me what that is, I say you either are creative or political. Like
yeah,
that, and that's like everyone is creative.
yeah. Everyone has creativity. It manifests in such a variety of different ways. I
Yeah.
think that's what's great about it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, as we said, we'll cover like a lot more creative stuff in the future. But we're going to leave that kind of overview of creativity there and move on to our final section. Moving on to our last section here. This one's going to be pretty quick. It's just basically going over how collection and creation are essentials to any hobby.
Yeah. I think we've kind of covered it in a lot of ways. Talking about how no matter what hobby you do, there will always be one or both of these core aspects.
Yeah.
You know, if you play D&D, there's world building and collecting dice or collecting miniatures
Mm-hmm.
or terrain, or you know, in our early D&D games, I built a lot of my own terrain.
Yes.
Um,
But there's collective storytelling.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the fundamental things that I say to any new player, that my table is a table where we do a collective storytelling.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're a D&D player who follows the modules,
Mm-hmm.
there is this element of that you're still collectively creating a story.
Yeah.
Um, just by making your characters, you're creating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And then if you're a Marvel fan, you might be collecting the comics or possibly some Infinity Stones. You collect the DVDs, you go to see the films.
Yeah.
You engage with that in little ways. I mean, one of my favorite creative outlets that I've seen a lot of as we kind of approach the Doomsday film is all these edits on
Mm-hmm.
TikTok and Instagram of Marvel films gone by. And it's great because you've taken something that's already been created and you're creating further. And I love that version.
Just a quick note, that's one thing that you and I haven't really discussed about creativity is video editing.
Yeah,
Which we'll get on to another time, but that in and of itself is also
great
being
hobby.
quite creative.
Yeah.
Is a great creative hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And even if you play like games like Minecraft, you're creating monuments of vanity or massacring villages, or you're basically creating the world is the truest of sandboxes in Minecraft. And like if you're either creating or you're collecting diamonds in a cave. Perhaps massacring villagers is probably the wrong the wrong term. But yeah. And I think the fundamental ingredient behind both collecting and creating in the hobby sphere and wider spheres is one's imagination.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it is one of those things where you have to have an imagination in order to explore the world
Mm-hmm.
in such a way that facilitates hobbies.
Yeah.
And as we've said before, collecting often fuels the way for other hobbies,
Mm-hmm.
and creativity certainly binds them. So I think that kind of idea of them being ingredients, it's very fitting.
Yes. Yeah, totally agree. So, with all of that in mind, do you have any closing thoughts for this episode? I mean, that kind of was a closing
Yeah,
thoughts
very
in of
much.
its own, but
Yeah.
do you have any other closing thoughts?
I suppose my closing thought is very much what we said previously, which is if you don't think that you're creative or that you're much of a collector, take a slow look around, because you suddenly realize there's a lot more that you start to collect.
Mm-hmm.
Ahead of this episode, I really wasn't thinking of myself as much of a collector, to be honest. I was like, oh, I don't know how much I can contribute to this, because I'm collecting Pokemon cards, but that's to cut them up.
Yeah.
And what do I really collect? And then, as I say, it was actually the move and getting all these boxes from the attic that I was just like, oh, these are all my old collections.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm kind of going into that new space, thinking about how I want to start displaying my old collections and that sort of thing, I'm like, well, actually, I've got a lot more collections, and I've been much more of a collector than I ever thought. I mean, Mum was talking to me. I said about pebbles being one of my early collecting items. My mum was saying to me that when I was like 2, so younger than your daughter now, I would like get pebbles and I would put them in my pillow. And she would come and she would like strip my bed, and there would be pebbles coming out, and she'd be like, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
I just love pebbles. So I think fundamentally we're
Just,
all goblins at heart.
I'm just gonna kind of throw this in here, like about how one of our like great aunts or aunts,
Oh, yeah.
affectionately called you Pebbles.
Yeah.
She did it based because of your hairstyle looked like Pebbles from the Flintstones.
Yeah,
but,
right up until I was maybe 7,
yeah,
I used to always have my hair in a little top knot.
yeah. And you got the nickname Pebbles
Pebbles.
for that. So yeah, I love that.
But yeah, there is an element of pebbles simply because I like the smooth little rocks.
Yep, and we are all goblins or magpies at heart.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think my closing thought is that if you don't think you're a collector or you don't think you're a creator, have a look around, because you are. It is, I think, one of those things that we all are at heart, no matter who we are or what we do. And that is because collecting and creating can come in just a variety of shapes and sizes. I mean, we didn't even touch on this idea of digital collecting now, things that you can collect online. So I think there is just like this wealth
like
of debt, mental illness,
yes,
fears, insecurities. Sorry.
Yeah.
But the point is that I think anyone can collect stuff, anyone can create stuff. And I think also, if you're looking to start a hobby in any way, I think collecting's the one I would go for.
Yeah.
Because I think it is a very easy hobby to start.
Mm-hmm.
You just choose your niche and you run with it. Yeah. And you see where it takes you. I'm also collecting hay fever.
Well, on that note, I don't have any kind of further comment on closing thoughts. So on that note, we'll go on to our outro. Well, with that episode out of the way, our next episode, as we said at the top of this episode, we're actually not having a next episode next month.
No, in June.
In June, we're going to be sharing our vlog of our experience at the UK Games Expo.
Yeah.
However, our July episode, which is our next episode, is confusing. This is because our editor needs a little like space between things, don't you?
You're saying this as if I'm not going to edit the vlog.
That's what I mean. Like you need to focus on the vlog. I need a
bit of variety. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Our next episode of the Hobby Hearth Podcast, we're going to cover the fourth and final of our hobby pillars, and that is tabletop games, where we'll discuss some of our favourite tabletop games, along with perhaps some new ones that we've tried at the Games Expo.
Yes, absolutely.
So stay tuned for that.
So, as per the YouTube pleasantries, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always notified of future episodes and of other videos that are coming on the channel very, very soon. And again, if you are on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, continue to give us a like, continue to follow us. It really does make all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know in the comments what you collect and what does your imagination create.
And just kind of a last bit here, as always, you can find us at the Hobby Hearth on Instagram and Threads and TikTok and BlueSky. And you can find me at Mr. Hughes95 on Instagram, TikTok. And
you can find me at Being the Brave on Instagram and TikTok.
And with all of that said and done, we'll catch you next time at the Hearth.
Bye!